Don't be like, oh, it's all therapeutic. I completely understand. No, no. Caught you in 4K. Don't lie. It's all right.
How you guys doing, Blueprint family? I am Sho, and I am here to walk through the 49 Commands of Christ with Cru Youth. And today I have
Zoe Lewis, and I'll be reading Matthew chapter 11, verse 15. Whoever has ears, let them hear.
That's it. We can go home now, you guys.
Yeah, you just cut the cameras. It's fine.
Whoever has ears to hear, let them hear. It's interesting because this is my daughter who never listens to me. And so we're going to talk about the application of this scripture, ma'am.
All right, then.
Okay.
Sir.
What does this mean?
What does this mean?
What does this scripture mean?
I feel like it could have a lot of meanings, really. I thought of like three meanings, like hearing like physically, hearing like mentally, and then like spiritually. Physically is like actually like listening to people, being attentive, listening to like commands that people give you, stuff like that. Mentally is like, it's kind of like taking stuff in, but like actually accepting it. So like accepting new ideas, listening to people's advice and changing your mental I don't know.
Your views, your ideas, your philosophies, your ideologies. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I think of like mentally. And then like spiritually, which is probably how this verse is addressing it, is like listening to Jesus talking and listening to him, like accepting you, and listening to him so that you can accept him into your spirit. And yeah, that's what I think.
What happens when you listen and you hear? Like, what happens when you hear of Jesus and you're listening, like that's spiritual? What's the impact of that third spiritual listening, do you think?
Well, if you do accept it, then you can move on to, probably becoming like a Christian or any version of like a Christian, and like trying to make your like life better that way. But there are some people who may like go to church and they may hear Jesus, think they want to become a Christian, but then after a while they're like, there's too many rules, ideals, reading the Bible is just not for me. And then they'll probably just go on with their life. And though I don't know anyone like that personally, it's like...
You don't know any people who don't...
I don't really know any people that are like, I wanted to become a Christian, but it's not for me. I may have some friends who may not explicitly like say they're a Christian, but like they'll still like, they won't say they don't believe in Jesus.
Gotcha.
But they won't say, I'm a Christian, church is great, And like most of my friends are like at my school, which is a Christian school, but it's like sometimes the parents just take their kids to a Christian school because it may have a better environment than schools that don't have like Christian values as their main point.
Yeah. It's usually I would ask people what sticks out in this verse. It's a very simple verse.
Yeah.
But for you personally, how does this apply to you? How does this affect you? What do you think about like personally when you hear it? Well, Zoe, if you have ears to hear.
Yeah. It made me think about my history lesson that I just had yesterday. We were talking about like Calvinism and like alnormialism. I can't remember the other.
Anominalism.
I don't remember the term, but they're both based off of like two people who have like.
Yes.
I didn't.
I know what you're doing, but I should know this, but I can't remember what it is. It's nomialism. Nomialism.
But I feel like there's an A in it though.
Anomialism. We're gonna ask the person off camera. Arminianism?
I think so.
There we go. Why am I tripping? Why is not?
Because the guy's name is
like, Arminian. Yes.
Thank you. So we talked about like those two types of isms.
Okay.
And how differently they like view God accepting people and people accepting God. Because with Calvinism, it's mainly God is in control of how you become a Christian, but like with Arminian's point of view, it's like it's mainly you and you're taking control of your like your your Christian faith. Like it's you accepting God, it's you listening to God, it's you reading, and it's you like choosing to listen to Him. And that's what I kind of feel like is being said here. Like, let them hear. It's like, it's kind of like, it reminded me of like how it in those two ideals, God is like kind of giving people well, not really in Calvinism, but like in Arminian's point of view, it's like He's giving them a choice,
Yeah.
and people can choose to accept Him. And that's what I kind of thought of here.
So, daily application for you. How do you, when you're given the choice to listen, how tough is it to listen? And not just to God, but just in general, like your father, per se. How difficult is it when, you have ears, and I think you have ears not only in, the first sense, that the actual physical ability to audibly hear things mentally, but also spiritually. Is it difficult for you to like listen and hear things that may not be immediately pleasing to you to just wrestle with?
Well, yeah, because when I learned about the Calvinism and those types of things, I didn't really think that there were different people who believed because like in Calvinism, it's not the belief that Christ saved everyone; it's the belief that God saved people that have already accepted Him in the future. And since He's like He's like omniscient, He already knows who's going to accept Him, so He chose them already. So it's like I didn't even think that people would believe that. And so, because I was always taught, like in every like church or school or whatever that I've gone to, they're always saying Christ saved everyone, no matter who you are or where you are, or whatever.
Or that He gives the ability, He offers salvation to everyone, you mean?
But everyone's always used the phrase Christ died for everyone's sins. So I didn't even think that there would be people who would be like, actually, I believe that God died for the people who have already chosen Him, or for the sinners that will choose Him in the future. So when it was difficult for me to like hear it and receive it, like mentally and like somewhat spiritually, because I was like, I didn't even know that people could think differently like this, or at least I knew that, but like I knew people could think differently, but like I didn't think that there was a group of people who believed something different than that.
But for you, like, does that change you? Like, does it change how you feel about God, or?
It just means that I gotta learn more about it, because it's. I always kind of knew that God was more like a more difficult thing to unravel than most people try to make Him seem. Because like I even learned that like people used to believe that God had like two versions of Himself, like a good God and an evil God, and how the God in the Old Testament was like an evil, like, oh, strike them all down type of God, and the New Testament God was like love, peace, happiness, stuff like that.
One was a warrior, the other was a hippie.
Pretty much. So it was like I just learned like this year that there are people who back then, like way back then, that believe that. So I feel like for me, I gotta like read more, look up more, so I can actually like hear God's like in-depth, like actual like complex words.
Do you feel like God could be both a warrior and a hippie? Do you feel like
I feel like He can be both. That's like that's what I believe. I just didn't think that people actually believe there's like legit like two completely different versions of Him. Like I know that He can like be like a loving but disciplining God, but I didn't think that people were like, oh yeah, that God there and that one there.
Do you often find yourself frustrated when people don't hear you? Like when you speak and you're like, oh, you don't have ears to hear.
Yeah, I just sometimes when I tried to like sometimes I'll have like discussions with certain people about like different like views and ideals, and I'll try to like at least get them to hear somewhat of like my side of the story, and sometimes I'll believe I'm making a good point, but when they just completely shut me down, like, nope, I don't want to hear it, or like I don't care, or like something like that, I'll be like, maybe my argument wasn't that good in the first place, and
No,
they don't want to hear it.
The argument was great.
That's what I'm trying to tell them, but they don't want to listen.
That's their problem. That's their problem.
They don't want to listen.
They don't want to listen, so they're lost.
Yes.
But then how do you recover from that? How do you handle that?
Well, for one, I talk to myself. So that, because, if no one else in the room wants to hear you, you'll hear yourself. So, I mean, there's that solution.
Talking to yourself is very therapeutic.
As I have told you many a times, don't lie on camera. This man, many a times, has claimed me to be crazy because I talk to myself. Don't be like, oh, it's all therapeutic. I completely understand. No, no. Caught you in 4K. Don't lie. It's all right.
I mean, she's telling the truth. I just say it right now.
Right now. Shut it down. No,
Okay.
no lie.
All right. You got me.
I got you.
You
Thank
got
you.
me.
As long as you accept that.
For the camera, it's therapeutic. At home, chill a little bit. Just chill, just a little bit.
Okay.
So,
but yeah, talking to myself and then also talking to people who will actually listen to my ideals. I've talked about my history teacher like so many times because I really look up to him, and I've always believed him to be like a really good listener and being open to like a lot of like different people's views and ideals. And I've gone to him a few times for like advice about how to handle certain like things my friends have told me about their ideals and how I should handle them. And there have been some times where I've been like, should I still be friends with this person? Should I still love them? Or should I like still be friends with them even though their ideals conflict with my Christian ideals and stuff like that? And he's given me like advice on how to like deal with that type of stuff. And it so like going to people who will actually like listen to you and being open to your ideals even though they may not like actually accept them and say like, oh, I completely agree. They'll be like, I may not agree, but I hear what you're saying, and I receive it, and I understand it, and I'll add it to my little index for future reference. That's why I feel like that you're that type of person. Like, I feel like...
Thank you, because you were talking about your history teacher a whole lot, and I'm starting to feel like...
No.
You know what? You can move in with that man, and he can pay for your school, he can feed you, because apparently there's nobody else in your life who you can talk to and get counsel from.
I was getting to you.
You start with me first, ma'am, and then
I'm
the history teacher comes second, okay?
But like, I thought people would be like, hey, who's your like people at school? I thought we were talking about school.
Don't worry, I'm editing this, and I'll come first in this conversation.
Well, do you hear this? Fake news. Editing people's words.
Okay, but you said you were talking about me, how I'm that kind of person.
Yes. I was talking as I was going to compliment you about how I believe, because like, you'll be whenever you pick me up from school, there'll be times where I hear you listening to like podcasts of different people talking about like different types of like issues or problems or even just like regular conversations about different things. And I think that's really cool that there are people like you or you yourself that like try to like view things differently so you can have like a wider perspective, because most people just want to believe their ideals and they don't want to hear anything else.
Yeah. Is it difficult to be Zoe in 2021? Like social media, pressures, like what is it like being a young lady in 2021? Who, is trying to love God, trying to love people, trying to be balanced in her thinking.
Well, it's tough because thanks to social media, I feel like people have just like resulted to being dumber. Not like, cause like so many people don't want to like.
You said everybody can be an intellectual like you, Zoe.
Well,
so.
That's not what I'm trying to say. I mean, that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that people have resorted to just letting social media kind of like be their vent or to try to be their outlet to all their problems.
Gotcha.
And there are times where things need to be addressed on social media because everybody's so connected on there.
Yeah.
But then there are times where people use it to just talk about things that upset who use it like in a like kind of like abuse it.
Yeah.
In the way that's like they just use it to hurt other people, or they use it to spread negativity, or they just use it to like say dumb things without doing any research or doing any like fact checking on what they're trying to say, and they're indirectly being offensive to a group of people or to like one specific person, or sometimes they're just being offensive on purpose, and it's really tough because like as a person with morals, or like a Christian, or just just trying to have like a more positive outlook it's tough because there's so much negativity online
Yeah.
that you don't really have that much of like a safe space anymore.
Yeah.
Or a place where you can like kind of safely talk about issues
Yeah.
that, you know.
Well, that's the importance of having friends. Because, as much as I want to be that person for you, I hope that you can come to me. And I'm hoping that all these teens that we talk to can go to their parents and relatives. But it's also important for you to have friends that are your age that you can feel like, man, you can talk to and bounce ideas off of, and that you can be honest with. And they won't judge you for the things you ask and say, et cetera, et cetera. I would ask you, I've been asking people to give me this verse in their own words. This is a very short verse, so it's really not that difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can give me the Zoe version of this particular scripture, what would it be?
I'd probably say something like, stop being ignorant, open your ear holes. Like, just listen. Just sit down. Like, no talky. Lissy. That's what I'd probably say. Like, hey, power
Who
up.
are you? Why are you
Who
this
am I?
way? Why are you this way?
I don't know. Ask you and your wife who I am. Because then maybe you'll get your answer. I'm a split between you guys, 50-50. Just look at half of yourself and half of mom, and then maybe you'll find your answer. That's all I'm trying to say.
All right.
Yay!
That was excellent.